Good morning, Miramar, and welcome to the show. I'm your host, Tamara G. Don't forget, you can check us out at all of our social media. We're on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at City of Miramar. That's Miramar. We also know it's right here in Miramar, and right here with me today, we have Assistant City Manager Sean Gale, as well as Tara Smith. She is from the Miramar Fire Department. She's the Public Information Officer for today, and we're going to be talking about COVID relief and the things that are happening in the city of Miramar right now. We've been dealing with this since March, like everybody else has. And now we want to give you guys some updates about what's happening with the city. So welcome to the show, ACM, Gail, and Tara. How are you guys doing?
Thank you. Doing well.
Good, good. And of course, we have Andy, my producer, here as well. And ACM, Gail, we wanted to talk a little bit about what the city is doing. Truly, Miramar, as always, on the forefront of tackling any issues that are going on in our South Florida community. And you guys have done a really good job of managing this pandemic since March. Tell us a little bit about it.
So, Tamara, you're right about that. We have been at the forefront of this pandemic since March of this year. And a couple of the things that we did. So, first of all, we scaled back on opening up to the public in order to preserve the health and safety of our employees and the public, not understanding, in full operation with this virus, what will it do, what will it not do. So, some areas of our city were closed to the public, understanding that our first line employees, our first responders, still had to be out there: fire, police, public works, utilities, those kinds of things. And then in addition to that, we moved to partner with the state to open a testing site at the Vernon E. Hargrave Youth Enrichment Center, because we understood that the public needed a place to get tested. On a daily basis, when we opened that up, we were seeing upwards of, 200, 300 individuals coming to get testing. And then the capacity of that was expanded. And then we had over 500 people coming every day to get tested, and people had to go to work and had to get tested, and people had to travel and they had to get tested. People have relatives that are sick that they have to visit. Imagine you have a parent that you have to visit or interact with, and you have to get tested to make sure you're not putting them at risk. So those were some of the things that we did. And then in addition to that, the city partnered with Feeding South Florida to do a food distribution at the Miramar Regional Park. And that is still in operation today. So every Thursday at the Miramar Regional Park, there is a food distribution to over 2,000 individuals, almost 3,000, who are in need because they've lost jobs. They have family members who've lost jobs. And so to meet the need of the community, these are the things that, the city tackled. And in order to kind of slowly continue to provide services, but keep everyone safe, we've retrofitted some of our lobby areas with plexiglass so that staff remains safe, the public remains safe. We do screening, we issue masks, we do all of those things with additional hand sanitizers and so on, just to make sure that we're keeping everyone safe.
So what I hear with this, ACM, Gail, is that the city is not closed. You guys are still open for business.
We are still open for business. We are still providing the services that our community needs.
Awesome. And also, we're going to get with Tara in just a minute to talk about numbers in the city of Miramar. But you also mentioned, too, that there's many things that you guys are doing even now that we're in, November for the most part, dealing with this pandemic, where the city is reopening, the city itself, not just the government facilities, but the city itself is kind of reopening. Tell us about that.
So we formed a task force at the onset of this in April. The city manager convened a task force to monitor the numbers, to look at what's happening around us, to monitor what's happening with our employees, and then to determine how to open. So we went to a phase 1 reopening in June, and then we're at a phase 2, and then we're now at phase 2A. What that means is that when we see the numbers, we determine, do we continue telework? Do we bring back a certain portion of the operation? And so I'll explain to you how that worked. In the beginning, everyone was kind of working from home. every one of our facilities were closed except for the ones that were essential services, police, fire, utilities, those kinds of things. And then on a phase two basis, after we were able to just secure the areas a little bit with plexiglass and so on, we brought back some services, for example, finance. We're encouraging everyone to do business online. However, because we opened the permitting segment of our operations, we opened the finance segment of our operations. So if you're there to get a permit, you could go over to finance to pay. And we asked everyone, please, please, please do it online if you can. But then if you can't, we have limited hours that you could do so in the finance department. And then slowly we've opened some of our parks. So you could still go walk, still go exercise, but restrooms are not open because we're not anticipating that you'll stay there for a very long time. And if you open restrooms, the sanitation and all of what needs to happen is going to overwhelm the system in a COVID environment. So, little by little, we've opened different segments. Now that we're in phase 2A, all our parks are open. None of our restrooms, they're open for passive use. They can go, remain socially distanced. Our permitting services are open. Finance is open. And again, we do ask that people connect with our services online. But if you cannot connect online and you must come into our facilities, we have taken all the steps to keep you safe.
Awesome. And for folks who don't know, the website is MiramarFL.gov. We're going to come back, ACM Gail, and talk about what businesses can expect from the city. But I wanted to get with Tara now. Tara, you have a very, hard job and a job that everybody needs, because we want to know how many people in Miramar have COVID. We want to know how we're doing. Are we beating this? Are we beating the curve? So tell us a little bit about those numbers.
So now that we are over 240 days in to COVID at this point, we have seen the numbers go from up to down all over the place. And at this point, we really were fluctuating, honestly. Every day is a fluctuation, and we really don't have a specific trend at this juncture. And a lot can play into that. So we're seeing right now that colleges are opening, schools are opening slowly, and businesses are opening back up. And so people are really getting out into the community, and all that plays into where we are, both in the city and in the county and in the state with the numbers. So we're certainly not where we were over the summer by any means. I'm sure everybody remembers the summer months. So every day, though, we see different numbers with the positivity rates and the number of cases. So at this juncture, we're really looking for everyone to remain diligent with their best practices.
So Tara, tell us, what are some things that people can do to stay safe, since we are beating this curve right now?
So we're really asking people to be diligent with the best practices that they've been doing, but it gets hard sometimes to remember when you've been doing something for such a long time. Mm-hmm. So wearing your mask appropriately, so over your nose and over your mouth when you're going to be out in public, and especially if you're in an area where you can't maintain social distance, or if you're going to be around someone who you know is sick, even if it is inside your home. So if an individual that you live with is sick, make sure you've got your mask on. Okay. And then of course, washing your hands for your full 20 seconds, especially important if you've been out in public and you've been touching a lot of things, or if you're going to be touching your face, touching your mask, if you've been helping other people who were sick, you've been caring for them, all of those things. Remember to be washing your hands, and then avoiding close contact and closed spaces. So if you can do your activity outside, if you can do your activity virtually, awesome. Try to do it that way if you can. All of these things will continue keeping us moving in the right direction because really we want to try and stay ahead. As we've been seeing things fluctuate, we want to continue staying ahead of the game and ahead of the curve.
Okay. We do have a question from the gallery. That would be from our producer, Andy. He wanted to know about the flu shot. should you take a flu shot this year? And if you don't take one, what would happen?
So we have been, as we discussed, we have been seeing, of course, the flu and COVID are both kind of trending together, but the flu does seem to be sometimes winning out on a day-by-day basis. And we are getting into flu season. So we have been recommending that people do get the flu shot, which is something we recommend every year. But this year, it's particularly important because, of course, the last thing anyone would want would be to get the flu and then add COVID on top of it, or vice versa. But I think, really a lot of times what you have to remember too is it's not always about us as individuals. It's about the other people that you're going to be around. So if you're a healthy individual, a lot of times people think a shot, I think, oh, I don't need to get the flu shot. I've never had the flu. I'm very healthy. But what about the individuals you come in contact with, your grandparents, or the people who you might not even know are a vulnerable population because maybe they have asthma or they have a heart condition? And that's not something that you can see on the outside. They don't wear that on their sleeve. So it's easy to say, I don't want to get the flu shot because, gosh, my friend got it and they got sick. But it's not about us. It's about the other individuals you come in contact with and protecting them. And that's really the importance of getting the flu shot as well, is ourselves and everyone else, so that we're not compounding COVID by having the flu on top of it and overwhelming our hospital systems by having populations coming in with the flu and COVID all at the same time.
Yeah, you guys have been very busy, fire rescue as well. So we're going to go back to ACM, Gail. And I wanted to, before we close, definitely wanted to talk about businesses and the information that they would need, compliance do's and don'ts, what they can do in their businesses, because some people don't know if they can reopen regular hours anymore. They don't know how many people they can have in a business. Tell us a little bit about that.
So thank you, Tamara, for that. And while I talk about business, if you'll allow me, I'll also talk about some resources that we have that residents can connect with. So for businesses, we have been looking at executive orders from Broward County, and now we're up to Executive Order 28. If you can believe that, since COVID started, we're up to Executive Order 28. What does that mean for businesses? Well, previously, businesses were, when they did the first phase of reopening for businesses, they could only go until 11 p.m. Now businesses can go until midnight. And that's an extra hour. And of course, when that comes to the weekend and you have individuals engaging with your services, an hour can mean a lot for a business. Another thing that I wanted to point out is the capacity, because even though you're open, how many people do you have? Right. And I'm going to read from the order and the capacity limits that the order establishes. Establishments licensed to serve food can operate with a minimum indoor capacity of up to 50%. And it also goes to say that establishments licensed to serve food may only operate at greater than 50% and up to 100% of indoor capacity if they maintain the 6-foot distance between occupied tables at all times, limit parties to no more than 6 people at a table at any one time, and ensure that people wear facial coverings at all times except when actively eating or drinking. So it's telling the businesses that, hey, you can operate, you can do these things. However, please help to make sure that people are wearing their masks, no more than 6 people at a table. You can go up until midnight. You can go up to 100% of your indoor capacity as long as you can safely do so with 6 people per table, distancing the tables, and midnight is the cutoff. And so that, I think, is the most important thing for businesses, the capacity and the hours that they can open, because that's how they make a living. Mm-hmm. I do also want to talk about some resources that we have for residents and businesses. So we have quite a few programs for residents through our community development department and through our community services department, which people would know as social services. So we have a program called MASH for individuals who are 60 years of age or older. So if you have someone 60 or older in the home, you can get assistance of up to $599 with any kind of crisis. So if it's a water bill, if it's electricity, if it's rent or mortgage assistance, you can get that help. For individuals that are under the age of 60, we have a program called EMAP that they can get the very same assistance. The only difference here is the age. There is also a program through the county that the city administers that can help to pay electricity, and we call that EHE. It's Emergency Home Energy Assistance Program for the elderly, and that can help with the payment of electricity. We also have a micro enterprise program, and that's for businesses, and that's up to $10,000 to assist businesses that have 5 employees or less.
Mm-hmm.
There's also purchase assistance for residents that they can get up to $50,000 to purchase a home, and that they get through the Community Development Department. There's also residential rehabilitation that they can get help to fix a roof, to fix air conditioning, to fix anything that qualifies for this program around the house. You can get up to $90,000 for those repairs. And then there's commercial rehabilitation assistance that gives up to $100,000 for assistance. And the last thing I want to mention is the emergency rental or mortgage assistance program. And some of these funds are coming through the CARES Act, through our community development block grant program. So all of these programs are here. If they go to our website, MiramarFL.gov, go to that website, engage with the services, call us, email us, whatever you need to do, engage with these programs and see if you can get some help in this very trying time.
And I love the fact, ACM Gail, that you mentioned a lot of them are grants. So that means free money for folks who don't know. Thank you so much for being with us today, Assistant City Manager Sean Gale, as well as Tara Smith, the Fire Department's PIO. Thank you so much for being with us today and keeping us up to date with what's happening with the COVID relief efforts in our city of Miramar, because we do know it's right here in Miramar. Thank you all so much.
Thanks for having me.
Good morning, Miramar, and welcome back to the show. I'm your host, Tamara G. Don't forget, you can check us out on all of our social media. We're on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at City of Miramar. My producer, Andy, is here with us, and we have a very special guest. I didn't recognize him when he came on camera because I've known him since he was 4, and he started Joshua's Heart Foundation. He's grown up now. So we're speaking with Joshua Williams. He is the founder of Joshua's Heart Foundation, which started, as I mentioned, when he was 4. He's now a junior in college at NYU. So, no slouch there. How's college life, Joshua?
College is great. I'm learning, I'm growing as a person, maturing. And I think so far it's been a really awesome experience. And school is great. I love learning everything that I'm learning right now. I'm studying finance and I'm really interested in it.
Wow. And in New York as well. So, but of course, being from South Florida, Miami area, you started Joshua's Heart Foundation when you were 4 years old. Because I remember we talked about it when I was working for 99 Jams and Hot 105. You wanted to help your community. You wanted to help people who were less fortunate. Tell us about it.
So I started Joshua's Heart 15 years ago. I'm 19 now. And it was really to help the people in my community, to give back and to help the people in my community who didn't have access to food and other important, necessary resources. And that's still our mission and still our goal. It's grown past me and it's grown bigger than just who I am. But we're still doing a lot of great work in the South Florida area and internationally and nationally as well. But basically, I just want to make sure that people understand that we're still here for our community. We're working with the city, especially, and that partnership has allowed us to give back to a lot more people recently.
Right. Yeah. So again, those people now are like, oh, that's Joshua. He had the big hair and he was so cute. I mean, he's a handsome young man now.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome. But yes, what made you at 4 years old realize that there were people who didn't have food? They didn't have anything to eat.
Well, I was going to church one day actually, and I stopped at a red light. I wasn't driving, of course, but my mom was. And I sat outside my window. I saw a homeless man who didn't have anything. He was sitting on the street. He had a sign and it said "Need food, lost my job," and I didn't understand why he was saying that, why he was in that position. And I asked my mom, she explained it to me, and it was quite revealing. And I didn't understand, the full theories behind it or the full reasons, but I just realized that I wanted to help him. And it started off as something very pure, of course. And over time, we started getting more into other issues and we grew as an organization. But that was the first time that I met somebody who needed help. And I gave him money that my grandmother actually gave me earlier that day to go buy toys and food. And that was the first time that I saw that I really wanted to help and I wanted to give back. And over years, it grew more and I started to cook food for people. I started to learn how to fundraise, how to run a business, and eventually incorporating into a 501c3, into a non-profit. And eventually it became into this big thing now, I guess, which is Josh's Fire.
It is a big thing. And you've partnered with Miami-Dade County. You guys are doing, of course, during COVID, everyone has suffered one way or another. And you guys have partnered with Miami-Dade County to give food to people. I mean, this is a free food distribution. Tell us about it.
So recently, of course, because of coronavirus, we've always had a partnership with our local governments, but especially during coronavirus, we've had a huge increase in demand for food and just giving back and support in our community. So Miami-Dade and Josh's Heart has been partnering to give back in our community, especially in incorporated areas of Miami-Dade.
Mm-hmm.
So every Monday and Thursday at Evangel Church International, which is at 590 Northwest 159th Street, Miami, Florida, we were able to give out food to an assortment of families and help people out. So on Mondays, it's from 11 to 4 and Thursdays from 10 to 2. You just have to pre-register. If you call our phone number, look us up on Google, Josh's Heart, or at 305-944-4452. And that's able to, if you need the help, you register with us and we're able to help you out and give you some food and some non-perishable goods. But Miami-Dade has really been integral in helping us even grow and be able to reach a point where we can help the people and the community members of Miami, Florida.
Right. And so these are food supplies. It's not necessarily hot food.
It's not cooked food necessarily. It's usually non-cooked food, rice, pasta, vegetables, fruits, different things like that, meat, but whatever we can give you and the best of it.
Right. And so you all are trying to, numbers are about 400. You want to feed at least 400 families a week.
Yes, ma'am.
And you can do that. So for people who are out there and you need the help, and maybe you don't need it, but maybe someone else does. You guys are doing these drives twice a week on Mondays and Thursdays. Tell us those times.
Mondays from 11 to 4 and Thursdays from 10 to 2. And if you want to come out to our event, make sure you pre-register and call us at 305-944-4452. Again, that's 305-944-4452. Or you can always Google us, Josh's Heart Foundation. You can get more info there.
All right. Sounds good. So again, Mondays and Thursdays, Mondays from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m., Thursdays from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. It's at, give us that address again, 590 Northwest 159th Street.
Yes.
Okay. 590 Northwest 159th Street. For more information, and if you want to pre-register, 305-944-4452. But you guys are wanting to give because that's from your heart, Joshua. It has been since you were 4. Now you're 19.
Exactly.
Yeah. And have you been surprised by the amount of need that is going on right now? And I want to ask you, you've been working on this since you were 4 years old, and in 15 years, it doesn't seem like it has gotten any better. Do you ever get discouraged by that?
All right, so that's a loaded question, but I'll take that on a couple of fronts. Is that internationally, if you look at the numbers in total, poverty and hunger have gone down significantly. And it doesn't feel like that on a personal level or based on what you see, but hunger and poverty have gone down overall. However, there's still so much need and there's still so much change that needs to occur. And yeah, I do get discouraged sometimes. I'm growing as a person. I'm also interested in different things. The foundation's also in its own pace now. But I still think that it's always a need for people like us who are doing direct impact, who are actually going out and doing the actual work to help people and to help give back to people in the short term and to make sure while these bigger changes are going on, to make sure everybody's okay. We're there to help support you. we're doing great work still, and during coronavirus, we've actually seen upwards of 4,000% increase in our demand. And that's a huge increase. Just seeing how many people actually were on the borderline edge of needing food and needing assistance. And because of coronavirus and all the things that came with that, economic crises and stuff like that, the implications that came from that. And it's been dramatic, especially in the South Florida region, to be honest. It's been a huge increase in poverty and need.
Well, we know people are living paycheck to paycheck in South Florida. You know, they pay us in sunshine. So, you know, and people wonder every day, how are they going to make it? How are they going to get food? And that is why you need to contact Joshua's Heart Foundation or to pre-register, because you can come on Mondays from 11 to 4 or Thursdays from 10 until 2. You will get groceries. You will get whatever you need. The address is 590 Northwest 159th Street. It's a church. So it's a safe haven where you can go and get these supplies. But they are looking to feed at least 400 families a week. And we know that there are at least 400 families and more out there who need the help. So the number to pre-register is 305-944-4452. 305-944-4452, or you can always go to joshuasheartfoundation.org and get more information there. But Joshua, we applaud you for continuing to do great things, and we know you're going to do even more great things with that finance degree from New York University. And just what you're doing, you haven't forgotten about your hometown, your South Florida roots. Yeah. And for what you're doing to help those who are less fortunate. You've been doing it since you were 4. You're 19 now. You're 15 years into a job, dude.
It's been a long time. It's crazy.
Exactly. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. How's the weather there in New York? How's it today?
It's getting colder. It was like 39 yesterday, but it wasn't like a brisk cold. It was a nice cold.
Oh, okay. Well, when you come home for Thanksgiving and Christmas and it's 85 degrees, you'll remember hometown.
For sure. I can't wait.
Thank you so much, Joshua, for being with us today.
Thank you. Have a great day.